Beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Baby, where are we? We are back in Canggu for another weekend of surfing and visa extension. This is our new tradition, is like every time we want to reset our visa, we come to Canggu because our visa office is here and we go surfing. So we have to come back in like 10 days to reset our visa. And it's so nice. There's so many visa offices in Ubud, but it's still a nice excuse. Oh no. What if it was a yoga co-working space?
That'd be cool.
And like you designed the co-working space and made it like exactly, and also kind of like Medellin too. Medellin was like that too. They had
Medellin had a yoga.
Yeah, they had a yoga space on the deck. Yep. And it was actually a really nice space.
Yeah, the Medellin Seleh was really nice. The room sucked.
Yeah, the room was like a little box.
Concrete box, yeah.
And it was
everything
like,
else is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, Medellin is probably up there.
Yeah.
What other co-working spaces were really good? Do you like our place, our co-working space now?
It's alright. Yeah, there's something to be desired.
Yeah, it's kind of small.
Yeah. It's kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
It's like this room up at the top of the kind of tagged up on top of the rest of the building. It's like a shipping container just got welded up there.
Yeah.
And then they put flooring and air conditioning and a few good tables, but it's alright.
Yeah, it feels like that too. This is where we were last time. This is where we stayed. Right in there. And that's the Body Factory. And then Tiga is like right there. We're like almost there. Alright, about to do yoga. This yoga studio is so interesting. This yoga studio has a partnership with our Airbnb, so I came here to like take advantage of it and do yoga before surfing, and it's like, this place is a maze. It's legit a whole maze. I knew I would feel like doing this after yoga. This is the pool area, and I'm just chilling here. It was a great yoga session, and my mind was whirring, like all kinds of thoughts buzzing in my mind. And I actually just talked to Andrew, texted he's gonna come here, so I'm gonna chill here a little bit, talk to you guys a little bit. Andrew just got a vitamin IV treatment, which is like, old Andrew would have never done stuff like that. Like, I feel like Andrew's changed so much ever since he got with me, because I'm really into like pampering myself and like doing all these like body treatments, like massages, stuff like that, pedicures, all these things, which Andrew used to never do. And I feel like now it's like, well, it's so interesting to see him like doing these things, like, you know, like, I don't want to take credit, but I feel like I've also changed a lot since getting with him. Like, I feel like I've become a lot more chill about certain things. Like last night we were talking about, when we first met, I would get really freaked out over certain things. Like I would get really bothered by our blanket. 1 second. Okay, so as I was saying, so Andrew and I have changed quite a bit since starting this journey. Like, not just the healing journey, but like the whole self-discovery, like moving to Latin America, like all these things. We both changed so much, and I feel like it's so easy to see how like effed up you were, your mind, your body, all these things, when you've repaired it a little bit, like you've healed it. Like it's really hard when you're in the state of like hyperarousal, hypervigilance, and your body is just crazy, firing from all cylinders. It's really hard to see that you're effed up because your senses are just overloaded. So even like your ability to reason with yourself and like be able to see how much you're struggling and how crazy you are, like it's just impossible to even see it because you're in fight or flight, you're in hyperarousal, and like your only concern in that moment is basic survival and safety. But when you're like on the other side of it, you're healing, you're like in a place where you're just doing yoga more regularly, you're like taking care of yourself more regularly, you're able to like sit, meditate, like just sit the same way that this little thing is doing, just sit still, meditate like that. It's really when you can actually see how effed up you were and how effed up your body was, and not to judge yourself, like not to say, oh, I was so screwed up, like in a bad way, like what a terrible person I was. Good or bad doesn't even exist in this paradigm, but to be able to have compassion for yourself and say, wow, I was really operating with not a lot of cushioning in my brain, not a lot of like the tools that I would need, that like the average human needs in order to like be okay and do what they need to do. To be able to recognize that I was operating on not a lot and like have compassion for yourself, which I really wouldn't have been able to do. So yeah, like Andrew and I were talking about like last night, how isn't it funny how like when we first started this trip, I would get really, really wound up over certain very silly things. Like, for example, the blanket wasn't folded correctly. Like I would get really, really messed up if the blanket wasn't folded correctly, and it would like send me into hypervigilance. Like I would like needed that to feel safe, for the blanket to be folded correctly, or like tiny little things like that, little hygiene things, or like just things that made me feel like tiny little things that I like really latched onto for the feeling of safety, which I don't need it now. I don't care. Like, get into bed and just fall asleep. I don't need the blanket to be folded a certain way. I mean, it seems even funny to me that I ever needed the blanket to be folded that way. Like I almost forgot that I was like that, which Andrew was like, isn't it funny that like, remember when we met and this is like what was enough to set you off? And it's like, whoa. I think so many people that I know from my like past life are in a state of hypervigilance, and they just have no idea. They just think it's their personality. They just think that their personality is that they need things to be a certain way, which is okay, but it's like, hi. No. But she thought I was somebody that she knew. But like a lot of people think that's their personality, when you don't really actually have to be that way if you don't want to. Like if you like it and you feel like you don't really need to change that state, and you can just stay in that state of mind and like feel safe in being that way forever, it's okay. Like if I was like felt very, very assured that my life will be a certain way, that like I can rest assured that my blanket will always be folded that way. Like that could actually provide a sense of structure and stability for me, so that I wouldn't really be motivated to change that part of myself. So that would be okay. But if you feel like, oh no, like if I'm basing my whole stability on this folded blanket and it's not always going to be there for me, then I'm going to unravel every single time, then maybe you might be motivated to deal with the hypervigilance, because it could be a sign of hypervigilance in your body, like your body is in hyperarousal. And like a lot of people, like a lot of us, we think that we are extremely sensitive, and like I grew up thinking that I'm extremely sensitive. There's something wrong with me. A lot of people are like that. We're extremely sensitive. But whether it was inherited or it happened while we were in our mother's womb or it happened when we were very little, whatever the reason was, like your body is in a state of hypervigilance, hyperarousal, hypersensitivity for a reason. It's a superpower, but it can also really hurt us, like especially if you're in a place where you're surrounded by stimulation, which is like why I couldn't be in the States, I couldn't be in a city. It just drives you nuts, because just being so attentive to every single tiny little stimulus, like if you're the kind of if your body is in a situation where it's making you notice every single tiny little thing, every mosquito bite you notice, and it drives you crazy. Every like breeze, every like temperature change, is you notice it and it's driving you crazy. It's just impossible to be in a place where you're in a city and there's loud noises all the time, there's all kinds of people talking at you. Like it's just impossible to be in a place with so much stimulation without losing your shit, without losing your mind. It's just impossible. You'll lose your mind. One person is going to smile at you and it's going to like drive you crazy, and they weren't even intending anything by it. They were just passing by and saying hello, but you're going to be overanalyzing everything and going crazy, and you're going to think it's part of your personality. You're going to think that there's something just wrong with you, that you just don't belong in the planet. You don't belong around anything. Like everything is a problem for you. You just think that you're just inherently messed up, when the reality might be that you're just in a very, very heightened sense of hypervigilance. And a lot of things can do that to you. Being sick can do that to you. Traumas can do that to you. Anything that's going to overload your system. You know, like someone who's not overloaded, somebody that's like not in a state of hypervigilance, someone can come to them and like try to push their boundaries or slap them or do something to them. Or they might even, a virus can come to them, and since their system isn't overloaded, their body, their mind, their system will be able to fight back, will be able to set those boundaries to resist. Oh, virus is coming to try to like attack our body. Oh, our body will be able to mobilize against the virus. Person is coming to like encroach on our boundaries. Person is coming to try to get some love, to try to like, unleash their anger or whatever. We will be able to set our boundaries and fight back, push back, protect ourselves, because we have our system is not overloaded by these other things. But when you're in a state of like hypervigilance and you're already like so bogged down by all these other stimuli, then when these things happen, when the virus comes, when the person comes to push our boundaries, when like these little things can basically push us off the edge, we just can't handle it because we're already so bogged down. And like, it doesn't have to be that way, and that's not part of your personality. It doesn't have to be your personality, which is like crazy to think about. It's crazy to think that I am not an overly sensitive, hyper vigilant person. I am just in a hyper vigilant state. It's like crazy thing to realize about myself. I'm not sick. I'm not hypervigilant. I'm in a hypervigilant state. And I have been in a hypervigilant state literally my entire life. And I know that it's not crazy. Like, I actually could probably trace it to war, suffering, hunger. My parents were literally... A lot of things were happening to my parents before they had me, before they conceived me, and before they had me. My mom was being abused physically. She was living with my dad's family, and I don't really want to talk about my dad's family in that way because I'm actually really close to a lot of my dad's family. But like all these people, like my dad's family, my mom's family, all these people had just gone through a war, and they were really, really traumatized. A lot of them were really traumatized. They all had their own shit, and a lot of them were just abusing each other. I'm sorry to say this, but they're not the only people. Like, whatever. I don't want to get shit from my family. But anyways, I came into the world in a hyper-aroused state. I was, just ask my parents, ask my relatives. I was a very, very hyper-aroused baby. I was basically crying, colicky my entire babyhood, toddlerhood. I was very sensitive to everything. Everything bothered me. I was very easily triggered by everything. My whole childhood, basically. I didn't like being around people, even as a child. I liked to be in my own little corner. I liked to be in my daydreams. I just didn't like people. Which is really funny because I still don't like people. But I actually do like people, but I like people within a certain context, within my own little, very, very, very safe bubble. Like, I was basically in a state of hypervigilance my entire life. And I didn't know it. I took it to be who I am. Maybe there's something wrong with me, but like seeing these changes in myself within the span of like literally just like 2 years is making me realize that maybe it's not me. Like, just seeing how much one person can change, seeing how much the health of a person can change. Andrew, for example, my partner, his personality has shifted quite a bit in his own ways, not in the same way as me, but like in a different way. He has lost, since this journey, he has lost almost 100 pounds. But actually not in a healthy way. Like he went through so much stress that he lost like almost 100 pounds, and it became like a losing weight free fall where like no matter how much food he ate, like while we were on this journey, because of, if you guys have been following our journey through Mexico, Latin America, like we both became really sick, and Andrew got it actually harder than I did, and he was losing weight in a very scary way. Like it was very scary. He was losing weight, he was getting vertigo, he was getting fever, constantly getting sick, and he was going for like MRI scans and like different things. Like we were actually very scared. Like there were periods of time when we had these discussions about what if he dies, because we didn't know what it was, and because we're like traveling, we're not like financially feeling stable enough to, like, we don't have our like international health insurance yet, whatever, like it's not like we have like one place where we can focus on getting tested and figure out what this is. So it was actually getting really scary, and he was losing weight really fast. No matter how much he tried to eat, he would like go out and try to eat like a whole pizza, try to eat like a lot of rice, whatever. And while we were in Mexico, it was just impossible because he was having diarrhea nonstop. Like we were both having diarrhea nonstop, and then he would like vomit too. It was like an uphill battle, really. Especially with Andrew's health. With me also, but like with Andrew even more. And then we came here, and it's like the vertigo is basically gone. You can tell that it was there because he can still feel the stuffiness in his head. So it's almost like a threatening, like I can come back if you screw up with our health, I can come back. But it's basically gone. The biggest part of it is basically gone. neither of us are in a state of hypervigilance. I haven't had a freak out since last year, basically. And a lot of that was because of the somatic stuff that my friend has been coaching me on. So I haven't had a freak out, but that's also like hypervigilance, like, you know, related to the vagal nerve, whatever. We'll talk about that more because I'm like really obsessed with it lately. And he's been gaining weight. He gained 8 pounds since last week or 2 weeks ago, which is crazy. So, like, finally for the first time, Andrew's gaining weight. And he's very excited about it. And we're both able to do things like, we've been more physically active with each other, like, which we couldn't be before because our bodies were literally just, like, felt like we're dying. So we couldn't. Now we can. Like, there's, like, little changes that we're seeing that is kind of mirroring the personality changes. And it just really makes me think about myself, about like all the things, the ways that I saw myself as. And I was listening to this audiobook last night talking about like the way that we see ourselves. The way that you see yourself is so, no matter how healthy you are, like it's still very far off from how you actually are, because your conscious mind is such a tiny, tiny fraction of your brain activity. About 95% of your brain activity is purely happening without your conscious awareness. So it's like your brain is doing all kinds of things, thinking all kinds of things without you being aware of it. That's like 95%. And even the parts of yourself that your brain is aware of, there's just so much perception. There's like a collective consciousness that perceives you that you are just not even aware of. So you're not able to see yourself in the way that you truly are. But you're especially not able to see yourself in the way that you truly are when you're sick and hypervigilant, in a hyperaroused state. When your body is in a state of being where all it needs to do is like, it feels like it just needs to protect you, and it's not even about long-term health, wellness, because it literally just can't. It can't think about your long-term health and wellness because it is just too busy worrying about money, worrying about your survival, worrying about your family survival, worrying about like very, very short-term things, and not able to just be and think. Actually, most people I know are in a state of hypervigilance and they don't even know it. They think it's their personality. They think being an angry person is their personality. They think being like a nervous person is their personality. They think however your body is like reacting to it, you think it's your personality, but it's actually not. You're just sick. You're sick. And I'm not saying this as an insult. I'm saying this as someone who is sick. I am recovering from being sick. Like to see the way that your thoughts change. Just like observe your thoughts and see the way that they change when you're actually physically sick, when you have like fever and like you have your period, or you have your anything that is making your body more like need more resources, like you have fever, you're sick, whatever. See the difference between that and like when you're feeling very strong, when you're active every day, going running, feeling strong, eating healthy foods. Just see the difference between your thoughts, your opinions change. You have more chill opinions. Anyways, I think Andrew might be looking for this place because he's coming here, because Andrew's he had his like IV vitamin therapy, which I've never even done before. Like, I'm so excited to hear how it was. And after that, we're gonna go surfing. So I'm gonna see if he's able to find this place, because we're kind of like nested in this like little area. Okay, see you guys. Hello, my man. How was vitamin IV?
It was good.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay that I have the camera on you?
It is.
I'm so curious. What was it like?
It was just an IV thing with vitamins in it.
What does it feel like after? My cousins literally, they do that like whenever they go to a party. They do that so that they can have energy in the party.
Yeah, just a battery recharge type of thing.
Does it feel different?
Yeah, just like, yeah, the battery recharged a little bit.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it wasn't that dehydrated or anything, so it didn't have like an immediate effect, but yeah.
That is so cool. Should I try it? No.
No.
Alright, so these are the waves today. We're gonna go surfing. It's not as big as last time, the waves. There. Do you think it's gonna be okay, babe?
Yeah.
Yeah?
They're already getting bigger.
Oh, my face. Yeah.
Yeah, they've gotten bigger in the last like half hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy is surfing on a big one. I think we'll do better this time.
I mean, they're not perfect, but we'll, yeah.
Up! Alright, it's nighttime. We actually had a really, really big, huge dinner. After surfing, we were exhausted from surfing. So we had a gigantic dinner, tons of steak, like grilled steak outdoors, and like potatoes, mushrooms, like, I don't know, watermelon smoothie. Really big dinner. But, so anyways, I want to like find a little corner to speak here with you guys. I want to tell you about this book that I've been reading, this like audiobook that I've been listening to, and it's called
Do you know Fila Isfara?
Fila?
Isfara Fila?
I don't know. Maybe in here. So this really, really awesome book that I've been listening to, it's called Existential Kink, and I'm not gonna do a good job of encapsulating it because it's like I barely read through it. So I just started listening to, actually I started listening yesterday on the way to here, and I've been just listening on and off throughout the day, but it's really interesting. It delves a lot into shadow work and understanding like a lot of your unconscious mind, because like I always talk about this on Twitter, but your conscious mind is a tiny fraction of your awareness, and there's so much happening that we just can't really nice. There is just so much traffic here. There's so much traffic here. 1 second. I literally almost sat on a person. This person was like lying on a bench, and I thought they were just like a pile of like material, so I almost sat on them. Hello, dog. It's like dogs. Alright. So I'm just trying to find like a quiet space to talk about this thing. They're doing construction here. This is Canggu at night. On a Saturday night. Canggu on a Saturday night. Hello. This is people from the construction building are waving at me. And oh, there's a guy with a guitar. Alright, so it's actually very quiet here. And you can't see me at all. Hello, you can't see me.
but it's just much easier for me to talk here because it's so loud everywhere. It's like the one thing that is hard with this stuff is that I just feel like it's so loud everywhere, and I don't feel like I'm able to properly like talk and think out loud. So anyway, this book is very interesting for me because it talks about like, you know, pain, pleasure, and how a lot of our pain, the things that we perceive as being like the worst thing ever, are actually kind of our pleasures too. And we sort of like engage in this cycle where we, in a way, we seek them out. We seek out the things that are painful for us. And it's not necessarily like a problem. It's just what we do. Like, it's just who we are. We created neural pathways like a long time ago. You know, your mind created a neural pathway due to an event that may or may not have been traumatic, you know, just impactful event, either very exciting or very traumatizing or whatever it was. It created a neural pathway in your mind, like a new way of being and feeling that ended up both torturing you but also bringing you immense pleasure. And you might have decided that this is the worst thing ever, and so you try to push it down. You try to avoid it consciously. You consciously are avoiding this thing that's like the worst thing ever. But because you consciously are not acknowledging this like neural pathway that is in you, that this like part of you that your body learned to really want and love, but you're consciously saying, okay, this is a bad thing, we have to avoid it. Your body is still going after it, but subconsciously. So that becomes your shadow, the part of you that keeps creating these like perceived negative cycles in your life that you don't want consciously, but it keeps creating subconsciously. It's your body doing it, your energy, the 95% part of your brain that is unconscious is doing this. And it's just really interesting. It feels so weird that you guys can't see me. So that's like basically what this book is about. It's like I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, there's things that I complain about a lot, and I'm genuinely complaining about it. Like, I'm not fake complaining. It's like, okay, why are people so obsessed with me? That's one complaint that I have sometimes, you know, is that like I get to know people or whatever, and then they become obsessed with me, and it becomes sort of like a push-pull where I feel like they become obsessed with me, and then they start to try to control me or try to like push me in a certain way or whatever. Or I become obsessed with people, and then I feel like, so these like little things like that, and I don't like it consciously, and so I really try to avoid it, whether it is keeping a certain distance from people in a certain way, or by having a lot of anxiety around it, so that when I do, you know, meet people or start to have like certain types of connection or interactions with them, I start to invoke a little bit of anxiety into the situation, because I'm trying to like distance or trying to temper the expectations or whatever it is. Whatever I do consciously doesn't change from the fact that my interactions with people tend to be very impactful a lot of the time, and it feels obsessive oftentimes, like, and this is, you know, this isn't coming from a position of loneliness or from needing connections. Like, I have so many connections in my life, Like I know too many people. It's actually overstimulating. So that's not the problem. The problem isn't that like I need a soul. The problem is that, and now it's like learning about shadow stuff, which it's not just this book. There's so many books that talk about your shadow, like your unconscious, your mind's unconscious, like way of doing things and projections and stuff like that. It makes so much sense because there's a part of me that actually wants people to be obsessed with me and wants to obsess about other people. It's this part of me that just longs for, it's a part of me that just longs for like a deep intimacy with people. And it's like it enjoys being obsessed. It enjoys going down that rabbit hole with people. In fact, I've been, I do get obsessed. Like I'll get obsessed with you if you tell me about your life story, your personal situation, like your personality. Like if I let myself, I can go down a rabbit hole with people. Like I can become obsessed with your life, with what. It's just so fascinating to me. It's exciting and it feels really intimate. And the same with other people is like I do actually find pleasure in being obsessed over people, being obsessed over me. My partner, like Andrew, like when we met, I was consciously like, oh my god, why are you so obsessed with me? Why are you so obsessed with me? But he's like the only person that I was so attracted to like that. Like he, like consciously I was like, oh my god, why are you so obsessed with me? Ew, like what are you doing? You're like love bombing. I used the word love bombing because I heard it in like psychology books, because I was learning about psychology and like what's a good relationship and all that stuff. So I was consciously like terrified of like, oh my god, like stop being obsessed with me. But unconsciously I was inviting it a lot, and he says it, but it's true. Like I also, looking back, like looking at the way that I felt, and it's like if I hated it so much, if I really didn't care about it, that I didn't care for it, then it wouldn't have even affected me. Like I would have just moved on to like the next person, because tons of people can get obsessed over you. Like on the internet, tons of people can be obsessed over you. You know, there's so many celebrities that have people being obsessed with them. There's so many like people that could become obsessed with you, and you might even call a restraining order on them, but you're not gonna try to date them, you know. But for me, like that was something that I really craved, and like that, like I was actually extremely attracted to Andrew over like literally anybody else, like because of that intensity. And I'm just using this as an example, but like so many things like that where I'm realizing like the thing that I hate about people, the thing that like really bothered me about, and I'm, you know, I only used this example with Andrew because Andrew's okay with me like talking about him, but like there's so many things with other people. There's like so many things with other people, like things that I literally just don't like things about everybody, actually. And they say the thing that you hate is the thing that you are seeing inside of you that you don't like inside of you. But I think it's maybe, you know, there's things that you don't like that are also things that you like. There are some things that you genuinely don't like that you are exposed to it and you just don't want to see it again, or you don't want to like deal with it again. You don't want to like repeat it. But then there's things that you don't like there's dynamics in relationships, let's say, that you really don't like and you really want to get rid of, and you instead of deleting like that from your life, you delete it from your conscious mind, and so you consciously say, I'm never going to get in a relationship where, let's say, that you get cheated on. Like you say you don't want to get in a relationship where you get cheated on. I'm just going to use this as an example because this is a thing that people do this, where they'll get in a relationship and they'll create like the same exact dynamics in their new relationship where they get cheated on, and they say they hate it, and then they like create the same exact thing in the next relationship, and they're like, I don't get it, like why does this thing keep happening to me? And they don't realize that maybe they don't really like the burden of intimacy. They don't like the burden of being like one person's everything, and they would rather like have a little bit of it offloaded with like somebody else. Just like so many different things, like people recreating situations. Guys will say, like, guys and girls actually will say, like, I want a really traditional partner. Like, I want a partner that's very traditional. Like, I'm so tired of dating like playboys, sluts, whatever. I want someone that's like a virgin and that's like super traditional and like has never had like a sexual partner before. And people will say things like this all the time. And then when it comes down to it, they will, if you put them in a room with like all kinds of people, they will go and find the sluttiest person in the room. And you're like, dude, like, didn't you just tell me that you really want like a virgin girlfriend or boyfriend, and you really want someone who's like really traditional and like is like very naive and all that stuff? Like, why are you finding the sluttiest person in the room? And they'll be like, and then they'll like kind of shape it into like, well, this person is actually a virgin, and they're actually like, you know, if you look deeper, and they'll kind of like justify the whole thing about how this person is exactly like what they consciously wanted. And then they'll get into the situation and this person ends up being like, you know, screwing up or whatever, and then they'll be like, see, this person ended up being a slut. Why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep ending up with sluts? And you're like, when you look at it from the outside, there's so many people like this where I look at it and I'm like, dude, you are literally selecting for sluts. Like, you're only going out with like the sluttiest person that you can find. Like, couldn't you have at least gone for like the second sluttiest person? But people do this a lot. Guys will be like, why are girls crazy? Like, why? Like, but they'll select for the craziest girls. Girls will say, why are men emotionally unavailable? But they will only be attracted to men that are emotionally unavailable. So you're consciously wanting one thing, you're unconsciously selecting a different thing. And why? And instead of trying to control things through your mind, through your conscious mind, what if you just instead, because the more you try to control it through your unconscious mind, and you say, this thing that my subconscious, my subconscious, my body just wants a bad boy, wants a bad guy, wants bad. Like, instead of like just pushing it even deeper down into your subconscious and ignoring it out of your conscious mind so that you become even less and less and less in control of this dynamic, what if you were to get to know it, understand it? The more you get to know, and like, this is with all shadow work, but like all shadow work books talk about this, but this book specifically, it's not only about understanding your shadow, like the part of you that's unconscious that wants things without your conscious mind being on board, but also to not only understand it, but maybe to embrace it and love it, not for the purpose of getting rid of it, but to understand it from a pleasure standpoint. Like, religious people that are like abstinent and prudish and like all weird about sex tend to be some of the kinkiest people that you will ever meet. And it doesn't mean that they're more sexual or that they enjoy sex more. It just means that they are oftentimes more controlled by it, because they push it out of their subconscious mind as something that is bad to do, to think about consciously. So they push it out of their conscious mind, and it becomes something that instead is their body is forced to go after, and in their subconscious is forced to go after with all of the animal brain's tools. So their animal brain is forced to go after it, and unlike the conscious brain, the animal brain has no holding back. It has no rules. So it's going to go after it in like the kinkiest way possible. So it's like, it's not to get rid of the pleasures, it's not to get rid of these things that are in you, but to understand it so that it becomes more integrated with your conscious mind, and it becomes more something that you feel aligned with and more in control over, rather than it controlling you and feeling like it's pulling you, like pulling the rug out from under you every single time. So this is something that I've been working on, you know, because like just so many situations with the whole chaos thing. Like, why am I constantly being plunged into chaos? I say that I want a peaceful life. I say that I want stability, security, feeling of peace. I want to get out of politics. I want to get away from drama. Like, I say that I want all this stuff, but yet I keep ending up in the most dramatic situations, around the most chaotic people, around the least stability. I keep recreating situations of chaos for myself without consciously being on board with it. And like, what if I were to, and this is just speculation, because like I'm still getting to know myself and my shadows and the things that are like ruling over me, but like, what if I do actually derive like a deep pleasure from chaos, and I derive a deep pleasure from certain types of pain? Like, when I was younger, I used to fantasize very happily about like being tortured and like physical pain and all these things. Like, what if I were to think about these things not as like bad, toxic things, unhealthy things, but as things that I very much derive pleasure in? And it doesn't have to be something that is pulling me from behind. It could be something that I just needs of pleasure that I consciously go and find because I am consciously aware of it, and it's not something that's ruling over me. So I enjoy the thrill, I enjoy the chaos, I enjoy being controlled, even though I really, really want to be free, and I always talk about wanting to be free. But somehow I end up in situations where people are controlling me, people are obsessing over me. I definitely have a kink for that, like in every way possible, like deep down, deeply rooted. And by recognizing that, I can proactively go after that, satisfy that, deal with it, so that it doesn't come and bite me in the butt in a way that I don't control, that I can't control, and I don't feel in control of, in a way that maybe it gets in the way of other things, in a way that's messy, in a way that my animalistic brain would do it rather than my conscious mind, in conjunction with my subconscious. There's someone's door, and I think they're probably trying to... Hi. I'll see you guys. How's it going?
It's going.
Yeah. Enjoying the vibe.
Morning. There's like this rice field right here in the backyard. Yeah. The lens is so blurry. It's just so moist, and it's kind of hard to charge my phone because everything gets so wet. Like here, this is about to get so moist again and blurry, the screen. You know, this is what I'm wearing on the way back to Ubud. We're gonna have breakfast, maybe work a little bit on our laptops or our phones, and then we're gonna drive back to Ubud from Canggu. It was a really good trip. Like I love these surfing trips. This is our second surfing trip, and I really like it. So I had like a really bad dream last night. Like, I basically had a dream that I was like having to live with Andrew's ex and kids and stuff like that, and he like went off to live in some other place, and I was like stuck with their family stuff. And I mean, I don't know like Andrew's ex and kids or anything like that. Like I haven't met them, but I met one of them, and he was very nice and like whatever. But like it's so hard for me to like get over the fact that he has an ex and kids. And like the thing is that I have a lot of exes, but it feels very different because like I don't have such a deep relationship with any of them in the way that Andrew has with his like family, his ex. And it's not just that, it's like Andrew, all his relationships, he's very deep. He goes very deep, and he gets like everybody that he knows he's known them for like decades or something, you know? It's not like me. Like I know a ton of people. I know much people than he knows, much more people. But it's not like that. I don't like know them for that long. There's some people that I know for many years, but I haven't like been in touch with them for many years because I've been just like moving around. So anyways, that was my dream. It was like a little bit of a nightmare. Like I don't know. Like I feel like I wanna do like a routine where I just yell. And I was doing that when surfing yesterday, and it was so funny. I was just yelling, and my instructor was like, "Why are you yelling?" Because it's fun. Like it's just energy that's stuck in my body that wants to come out. Just like like just yell like that. Just energy that just. And see, I can't do that here because there's people everywhere. There's people sleeping. I mean, it's like 7 a.m. and I have energy that I want to come out. Like I wish there was like a field or like a soundproof room or something, or a car, which I will never drive again probably, that I could just like sit in or be in and just yell at the top of my lungs regularly, because it's fun. And because like how else are you gonna get this like panicky, hypervigilant energy that's in your body? How else are you going to get it out? If you don't get it out, it's going to like stay inside and turn into other health problems, which I don't want. I don't want to have health problems, so I want it to come out. So that's like part of another reason why I started taking voice lessons, so I can sing, so I can like yell and get it out like that, but it's not going to scare people. That's a problem, people. Like literally all of my problems in the world would be fixed if I just got rid of people. I know, I'm like half kidding. My ear is hurting. It's a nice morning though. So that's basically my second Canggu video. And I'm actually just sitting here and listening to that audiobook again. My earphones, listening to that audiobook again. And it's really awesome, like just thinking about, like there's so many things that people separate out of their subconscious mind. But I'm learning a lot about myself through this book. And I think like probably my number one enemy in life has been, I say it's other people, but it's not other people, because other people have also saved my life tremendously. My close friends, my partner, the people in my life have like literally saved my life. they've saved me from myself. So I don't think the enemy is other people, but I think for me, my personal enemy has been shame. Like, the thing that's been blocking me from like getting my problems. And like, I know you're seeing me and you're like, oh, but Pardes, like, you're so shameless, you say whatever you want, you do whatever you want. But no, I talk a lot about saying and doing whatever I want. I want to do whatever I want. I want to say whatever I want. But when it comes down to it, like, I grew up in a very shame-based community. You know, the Persian community, a very shame-based, you know, any community that's going to be very like close-knit and everybody knows each other. The Persian community is very shame-based, Jewish community is very shame-based. And then when I left those communities, I found more communities that were even more shame-based, like the Christian community, the conservative community, the, like, you know, living in the States. Like, I just feel like I'm attracted to people that are very bogged down by shame, because that's how I am. And it's not a bad thing. Like, I think that a lot of like the best friendships and romances come out of like the duality between like shame and release, right? But at the same time, like, I feel like I've been controlled by it so much throughout my life. So that's something that I really want to work on, is to not let other people's shame drag me into it. Like, there's so many people that have problems. Like, I talk to so many, like, I meet so many people that like are having problems, and like, the problem could easily be fixed. Let's say if they were to talk about their, like, the problem is, let's say, like a health problem or like an emotional problem, or they're stalling, or they're lacking confidence because they're stalling with a certain business idea, or like with a certain move that they need to make to like adjust their life, but they're not doing it because of shame, because they can't validate their own emotions, like the things that they need. Like, they need to scream because they need to let out this, like, a lot of anger that's in their body. They need to like really just let go of like all these things, or they need to be like sexually satisfied, or like whatever it is that they need. So they're not doing it because and this like energy is like staying in their body. Like, I just feel like a lot of times it's really just shame because they can't validate this need. So they have a need, your body has a need. There's nothing wrong with your body being what your body is. God created your body with needs. Like, you know, people will think that this is like sacrilegious. God created certain needs in your body, and if you can't validate those needs, your body will find a way to validate it without your consent. And that's going to create more shame, because then your body's going to do things that your conscious mind is like abhorred by and might even be in denial by. And so I feel like, you know, I talk about this a lot, about how like I'm gonna say whatever I want, I'm gonna do whatever I want, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I come from so much shame. The things that my family has done for shame, I won't talk about it because I don't want to add to their shame, because this is about me. But like, I just don't even like that I like lie for other people, like, because of their shame, because I feel like I get pulled into the shame too. The things that I have done for shame, like the things that I have hindered myself, the ways that I've hindered myself in life for shame, and like the emotions that I have kept inside of my body that turned into like other problems that almost killed me, like some problems that almost killed me, because I was afraid, what will my partner say if he knows that I feel this way, or if I say this thing? What will his family say, or I don't even know what he has, but I don't even know. But like, what, you know, because I'm scared of like, how will it affect other people? What people say, how they feel about it, whatever. So like, just being really worried about other people and feeling so tied to the outcome of like
other people. To the point where you will hurt yourself and not be what you need to be. Your body needs a good bang or a good, like, I don't know how to say it on YouTube without getting demonetized. Your body needs a good yell, a good release of some kind, and you're denying it because you can't accept that, or you feel like you can't accept it in the presence of other people, which is still important because you need, like, our bodies are like wired to need empathetic witnesses, like people that will validate things for us, with us. And like, if you can't get that, it's just really hard. So yeah. Might show you breakfast, but if I don't, goodbye and see you in the next one. This is what my clothing line is gonna look like. It's gonna be like all strappy. There's gonna be more straps. Cause Andrew likes straps. Should I show off your outfit?
No.
Sorry. We're going to a cafe called Cafe Coach, and it's a cafe for coaches. It's like where coaches meet up and they train each other, and they have like coach mentorship programs because there's so many coaches in Bali. How funny is that? Here we are, Cafe Coach. So yeah, it's like this whole downstairs and upstairs section. Oh no, it's next door. Yeah, here it is. I just have to really quickly get this. It smells so good that I wish I can capture the smell. Like, that's like infused water. It's really good.